What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Lockdown 23-1. And as promised, we are on episode 2 of the day with audience story time. And tonight we have the very first female version of this story time. And the story that she has is absolutely wild, man. It's about her man that she was with for 7 years. Okay, 7 years, and supported him while he was in the penitentiary, and the crazy things she did for her man while he was locked up. Please do not judge this girl, because I can tell you right now, me and my old lady, we've done stuff just as crazy, if not crazier. But before we get into this very special episode, I want to show you a picture from the story time we had earlier. He said he took a picture and he saw an orb, and I'm going to show that picture now because I forgot to do it in that video. I'm going to let y'all be the judge, I don't know. I'm going to let y'all be the judge, I do not know too much about taking pictures and photography and stuff along those lines, but I thought I'd at least share it with y'all since I forgot to do it in the episode earlier today. But without further ado, let's jump right into our very first female story time, straight from Boston. All right, so please tell me your name and where you're from, if you don't mind.
My name's Tammy. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, and you got a story, you said? A story about your boyfriend or husband or something?
Yeah. My boyfriend.
Okay. How long were y'all together for?
We were together for 7 years.
7 years. Okay. And he was locked up during this time?
In the middle, yes. So, I met him when he was out on bail, and then it took almost 2 years to go to trial, and then he got 2.5 to 3 years. So in the meantime, we got serious, and then I decided I was going to stay with him while he was in there. So, he went away to went to classification like everyone does, and then he got classed to a minimum security prison. And this prison was half minimum and half pre-release. So there was no fence around the building because the pre-release people would leave and come back, but he never got pre-release. He was always minimum. So I stayed faithful to him the whole time he was in there, and this is how. So he got a job like training the service dogs for Good Time. And because he trained the service dogs, he could have grounds privileges at nighttime where the other inmates wouldn't normally. He started taking the dog out at 9 o'clock at night, as routine. And then once it became routine, he pitched to me that I should try to meet him in the woods, like in the tree area next to the prison.
This prison had no fence, I'm guessing.
But adjacent to the prison was a juvenile jail, and that had higher security actually, and it had a big barbed wire fence and cameras, and they both had cameras, but yeah, the juvenile jail was right next door, and in between was about 15 feet of woods and shrubbery. So we did this in the fall because we couldn't do it in the winter when there was no leaves on the trees because we didn't have cover. So this was the time. So I figured if I was going to meet him, I have to dress in camouflage to camouflage in to, the trees. So I went to the Army Navy store. I got a bunch of camouflage stuff and camouflage hat, gloves, jacket, pants. And I had those kangaroo sneakers that have the zippers on the side. And I had money for bail in the shoes.
Money for bail?
Yeah, just in case we got caught. But I only had $20.
You were completely prepared for every scenario.
Right, and and we're definitely trying to avoid that because I wouldn't be able to visit him ever again, and I'd catch a charge. but I had the money for bail. $40 wouldn't have been enough to get me out looking back, but that's what I thought at the time. So I parked at the street and I had to walk up with regular clothes on and a backpack with the camouflage stuff on, because I can't walk up the street in full camouflage to the prisons. So I would have to go into the woods and then change clothes. And I'm trying to get through the woods. There's a bunch of thorn bushes I can't get through, and I had gloves and everything. I could not get through them. So every time I would have to leave the black backpack where, like, on that side, I'd have to run out on the juvenile side for like 5 seconds on the cameras and everything, just hoping that nobody was watching them. And then I'd have to duck back in. And when I came back, I'd have to do the same thing. So that was the most stressful part. And the first time that we attempted this, you know, I'm in the bushes, I'm waiting, I'm looking out, I see him, I see the dog, I see a CO, and he's just lingering. And he lingered so long, eventually my man had to go back in, and I was pissed. I had to go back on camera, walk back up the street, wait for the phone call, be like, what the hell? You know, and then we had to try it again. But you know how it is when you see someone you love in prison and you get all worked up, you see them, and then you have to leave all the time and you can't do anything. It's like torture. And you go back in with all the men and we all go back to regular world. And so it was tough. But so I attempted again. And this time it worked. So the previous time I had discovered this like dome-like branch area. It was like literally like an umbrella type room, perfect for us. It was like it was made for us. And then the branches came down and created a shadow so we could see out, but nobody could see us. So he comes out with the dog and had to bring a treat for the dog, like a bone or something for him to chew on, so the dog wouldn't be all excited, jumping on me, happy to see me. And so get the dog out of the way. And then we finally get to be together after it had been like, you know, almost a year of him being in there. And he just did not know what to do first. We only had like 5 minutes, but he was like overwhelmed as to like what to do with those 5 minutes. And so we finally, you know, got to have sex after he was in there. And then he like went back in. He went back into the prison with the dog. And then I had to run back on camera, change clothes, and then walk back down the street. And we did this twice successfully. And then after that, it was winter, so we couldn't meet up in the woods anymore. So when the dog was done being trained and graduated, they wouldn't give him another dog because he didn't have enough time left to train a whole nother dog. So for good time, he would go picking up trash on Revere Beach. And if he got notice that a decent CO was going to be on, which doesn't happen, you know, they don't normally know ahead of time what CO is going to be on, so they can't plan things. But if he got tipped off that a certain CO would be on, he would call me and we had a code. And that would mean that I would meet him on the beach. So I'd have to get up wicked early, drive down. I'd have to park and then walk up the beach and then walk perpendicular right up to the bathrooms and go into the men's bathroom. And then I would have to put my feet up on the toilet seat and wait for them to take their break. So then the van will pull up and, you know, he would come into the bathroom and meet me in the stall. But this bathroom, anyone could come into this bathroom, like regular people. So we had an inmate like by the door watching it. And anytime someone would come in, he would be like, civilian, civilian, to alert us.
That's not suspect.
This guy was a bug. But but he looked out. But yeah, so like we'd hear regular people next to us and I'd be like all stressed out. This was very stressful, very intense. And his freaking belt would be jangling and like I'd be so scared. And then he would leave, go out, make an appearance, drink a bottle of water, come back in, meet me again, and then leave. And then I'd have to wait to hear the van pull away. And then I could leave. And we did that a bunch of times. And the CO that was usually on does not have her job anymore. Not from that, but yeah.
That stuff sounds wild, okay? But I know me and my wife, we've done a lot of wild stuff. And I'll tell you what, some of that dangerous, wild stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah.
Something about living on the edge in that type of way, it makes things a little bit more memorable and just more exciting. You know what I mean? I also wanted to say something because you brought up a good point. A lot of people might not know. Let's say you see inmates working on the side of the road picking up trash, kind of like what she just said. They don't typically, the correctional officers never tell them a day before because they can call home and plan someone to plant a pack of drugs or something. They can pick it up because they'll know where they'll be at in the morning. But some cool correctional officers will actually give them a tip or tell the wrong, inmate, and the inmate will spread the word, and then the inmates get on the phone, and they're like setting it up, just like she said, key code words, because they tap the phone. They're always recording the phone, and if they hear someone talking like that, it's going to be shut down. So they used a code word, and that's how a lot of inmates do it. And a lot of, all the correctional officers and stuff like that, they already know this, so this is nothing new, but this is just mainly for the audience to understand. This is another way that, inmates can get pretty much anything they want, But, look, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. I think you said, I could be wrong, I think you said your man passed away after 7 years with him.
He did.
I'm sorry to hear that, you know what I mean? I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure he is looking down with laughing his ass off at this story right now, you know what I mean? Just keep your head up.
Of people this story before he passed, and I thought we were going to tell our kids this story, but now I'm telling it to YouTube, and I don't know why this happened, and I hope one day I have a better understanding. But my cousin said to me once that my grandmother, her first husband, died in World War II, and then she married my grandfather, and he was like, if that guy never died, none of us would ever be here. And so maybe to her at some point it made sense. So maybe it'll make sense to me someday.
Yeah, I mean, there can always be a good out of everything, but at the same time, I'm sure that there was plenty of good that came out of being with him for that long, you know what I mean? Did you say he passed away from, what'd you say, heroin?
Yes.
Yeah, just like my brother, and this is another just a big piece of awareness. People are dropping like flies in this country from heroin cut with fentanyl, whatever it's cut with, or it ain't gotta be cut at all, but people are just dropping like flies from this. And if you have a family member that is hooked on this stuff, I mean, don't give up on them, Don't give up on them, don't get mad, don't disown them, because it might be the last time that you see him.
Mm-hmm.
So I really do appreciate your story. And once again, my condolences to him. I know he's in a better place.
Yeah, you too, about your brother as well. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. This is my favorite YouTube channel, for real.
It's my favorite too. I ain't gonna lie. If you have any shout outs, family members, loved ones that you'd like to say hello to, please do so now.
I want to shout out my dog's hashtag. It's hashtag Sid the Road Dog, SID the Road DAWG. and it's him all over the country. Him in Times Square, him in the desert, him at Mardi Gras, him everywhere. It's epic.
That's pretty wild. That dog has been more places than I have. Anyways,
All right.
I salute to you, and believe it or not, it means a lot to me that you're supporting your man, even though he was locked up. A lot of women don't care nothing about their man when he's gone. So you're a trooper, and thank you once again.
Thank you.